Going along in our series of tactical nylon gear manufacturers, we're taking a look at a Spec Ops brand. I guess this is an M4 pouch, or else it's a medium utility pouch. I'm honestly not sure. Got this one used. It's definitely been well used. It's not abused though, and it's got a lot of life left in it. Starting on the outside, what we've got is, like I say, probably an M4 pouch, maybe just a radio pouch or a general purpose pouch. But we're looking at redundant Velcro hook and loop and a snap fastener, which is a nice feature depending on what kind of mission or what kind of job you're going to be doing. It's got this strap at the top here, which adds strength and gives you another attachment point for sometimes smaller gear. It's got the grommet at the bottom for losing water and dirt and stuff. Looking at the back, their PALS ladder attachment system is little unique. I looked on their website and I wasn't able to find a name for it, but it looks like they've using a different system in the back of their new pouches, so this older system may have a name and I just don't know what it is. So if anyone does know, feel free to leave it in our comments there. But it feeds through and built on the 1.5 inch grid, so it looks like it's built to PAL spec, and it comes down to the bottom, loops through this extra row, and then comes back and snaps on itself. For me, it's been I've really liked it. This particular attachment system works well. It's easy to feed. It'll still work with the like the mag pull feeder, which makes it a lot easier to deal with sometimes. And once you get it through, it's easy to come up and attach without a screwdriver or any kind of extra needle nose pliers or anything, because it's fairly simple to get to. However, it's fairly secure as well. Now in this particular one, it's 2 columns wide and then uses 1, 2, 3 rows on your gear, but unless you're really good at it, I end up using 2 rows a lot of times and just letting the pouch kind of flop. And I don't use it for magazines, I just use it as a utility pouch. And while the attachment system is easy to use, it can be an issue depending on what you're running on it. Not a deal breaker though. Great attachment system. Like I say, built on the correct grid. They keep their logo and stuff in back here where you don't have to see it when you're actually in use. I always appreciate that. It's just a personal pet peeve of mine. I hate seeing logos on the outside of my gear. I'm not a billboard. If I wanted to wear a shirt that says I love gear, I'd buy that shirt. I wouldn't expect my gear to proclaim that for me. Looking on the inside, it's 1000 denier Cordura, which is just basically the heaviest duty, most wear resistant nylon out there. You see a lot of examples of it new, because most of the time we do, and everybody does their gear reviews of the new gear. This one, being older though, you can see how soft the 1000 denier can get. It doesn't get this way easy, and it sometimes takes a couple of washings and a couple of years worth of work to get it this way. But you notice that not a lot of abrasion. Although this thing's probably seen quite a bit of use, there's not a lot of wear on it. As we mentioned in some of our other videos, if you've been watching the series, this one's got all the features you'd want. It's got the Velcro or hook and loop type of attachment there, but because that can be noisy, this piece of Velcro comes down and locks that out, and now a lot less noisy because it's not being engaged. And you would use your snap for that. Side snap opener. This one's made by National Molding. Good company. Theirs are a little more brittle than some of the others, but never had one break, so I can't complain. As I mentioned, there's a little bit of strap at the top here, which I assume is for extra gear. Being able to tuck a bandana through there. It's just another extra feature that you don't always get. Of course, it also adds strength because it's bringing your snap and your stuff, instead of being just, well, like their bottom is just kind of attached to the nylon somewhere, it brings it over and actually anchors it back to basically the backbone of the pouch, which is attached to your backpack or your vest or whatever you're wearing. So going back inside, we like to turn these things inside out to get a kind of a look at how they're built in here. And that gives you some insight into what quality of attention to detail does the company go to. And every pouch we've opened up or turned inside out like this has given us a little more insight to the company. So we're turning it around here, and it looks as though this thing has been used on the outside. It doesn't look as though it's been worn very much on the inside at all. Everything's fairly clean. There are quite a few frays here. You'll see that these are not wrapped. Now, to their credit, they did build it in such a way that there's no seams on the outside edges. It lends itself to be a very collapsible pouch, unlike some pouches where they have a distinct side, front, side, and back panel. This really just has a back panel and a front panel that wraps around. If you really wanted to, you could follow the folds down here, how they assembled it, but we're not trying to dissect its design. We're just taking a look at its manufacture. And in this case, I guess the design does lend to that, because since there's no seams here, probably cost them a little bit less to build. It created a pouch that collapses a little bit, and if that's what you're looking for, then that's a great feature. Like I mentioned, they didn't tape these bottom seams, which I'm not going to fault them for. It's not as though these are, taping isn't the most necessary part of a pouch anyway, but it does add to its long-lasting life. And in this case, it would just stop some of these frays and stuff. But that's why most of us guys carry around a lighter, because it's very easy to just go in and take care of business yourself here. And as you see, I'm just wicking the flame back and forth, not long enough to melt it, although it would take quite a bit of flame to melt this thick nylon. But what I'm doing is I'm just melting the edges back down. And I'm sure this is what it was like when it was brand new. They've just frayed over time and over use, with a lot of things coming down and smacking into them. But I've just gotten rid of all those frays with just a quick couple of flicks from the Bic. So otherwise, there's no frills on the inside of the pouch. Like I mentioned, this design lends itself to not having a lot of seams. And again, if you're going to be putting some optics in here or something that might scratch, that might be important, that could be an issue for you. On the back, though, there is one little extra, and I'm assuming it's by intent and not just accident, but there's just a loop of their 1-inch nylon coming through, and it's exposed just enough that you could stick a piece of 550 in there if you wanted to, or clip something. It's too small for a Grimlock, but almost anything smaller than, I mean, I could probably put a Grimlock through this way almost. But anyway, that's kind of handy if you have something that you want to retain and add a little lanyard. I don't know, maybe a GPS or a compass or something that, you give yourself a lead of 550 cord, and then you can attach it here. It's pretty handy. And if I could find maybe some of the really small, cheap aluminum carabiners that are much smaller, I could probably put one of those in here and have a quick release type of retaining lanyard. So probably a little more time than anybody wants to listen to about one pouch, but I kind of go into some of the reasons I like this pouch, I guess. And again, that's a Spec Ops, USA, 100% USA made, USA materials, made in the USA. Great company. Unfortunately, can't say too much about them because this is the only pouch I own from them. But I've been real happy with it so far, and if this is any indication of the rest of their line, got to give them a thumbs up. Good stuff.